The king has been killed, throne usurped, the kingdom is in disarray, surviving royalty on the run from persecution, traveling great distances, amassing allies to avenge their nation and bring peace back to the land. Lots of dragon lore. Oh, and a Japanese medieval fantasy setting. If you are a Fire Emblem fan, you might be familiar with this scenario because it's pretty much the synopsis of every game in the franchise. As fans lament the fact that Nintendo's most anime-ready series has yet to be truly adapted, the hole can be filled by Yona of the Dawn. It's this show I was actually describing earlier. Princess Yona is on the run from newly crowned Suwon and his army after his successful attempt murdering King Eel and taking over the kingdom of Kyoka. She and her ally Hawk escape together, Hawk being an incredibly powerful lance wielder, acting as the classic OP bodyguard character you get at the beginning of every Fire Emblem game. Yona is actually quite weak, and the story follows her growth from helpless pampered princess to a courageous leader. It's like we actually can see her leveling up and her stats increasing, following this really satisfying character arc that we see with Fire Emblem main characters. Suwon, on the other hand, was a childhood friend of both Yona and Hawk and was someone they trusted. Similar to Prince Leon's story arc in the Sacred Stones, he too was the childhood friend of both Erika and Ephraim, but later revealed as the antagonist. He is described like Suwon as gentle and kind-hearted before their betrayal. Leon and Suwon even look similar as men with long light-colored hair and feminine facial features. Speaking of character design, Yona takes several concepts from Fire Emblem, intentionally or not, like basing entire characters on a single color palette or weapon type. The main aesthetic overall harkens back to this classic Japanese medieval setting that is common in Fire Emblem as well. It's also quite reminiscent of shows like Shirayuki-hime, even down to having a strong female lead with striking red hair who symbolically cuts at the beginning of the series. This fantasy setting is one of my favorites, and I love both shows for utilizing it. It's a big plus for me, and is also a big appeal for Fire Emblem. I discovered this love when watching Avatar growing up, which surprisingly also shares similarities with Yona. In Yona, the nations are separated into tribes being called Wind, Earth, Water, and Fire, each of which having distinct values, personalities, culture, and setting. While there isn't any bending, it's a series that definitely harkens back to that ragtag adventuring spirit shows like Avatar have. Back to Fire Emblem, however, like I mentioned, dragon lore is a vital part of the backstory for literally every game. No surprise, Yona's world also uses dragons as its fulcrum. Yona herself is a descendant of the god dragon, pretty much the one who creates and rules everything, making the other dragon descendants naturally drawn to her. The goal for Yona and Hawk is to find the 4 other dragons, white, blue, green, and yellow, to team up with her red. Each one of them contains supernatural powers outclassing any normal man, powers reminiscent of characters like Corrin. One of the best episodes of the show is an OVA that goes into the past of the dragons and their origins. It's a gripping and enclosed tale that can get somewhat emotional. If you've seen the show and liked it, search for the OVAs, they're way better than they have any right to be. In Fire Emblem, it's always dragons that are behind the evil, and then one that's good and orchestrating things to work in favor for the main characters as well. Settings and locations of the show hit all the hallmarks of classic fantasy fare, like the port towns and the tribal regions. The one thing Yona has that one-ups Fire Emblem is the villain. Suwon is not black and white evil, there's a gray to him. He does some good things for his nation while he's king, and when meeting up with Yona by coincidence later on, he protects her and doesn't have her killed. This is an interesting dilemma for the viewer. When Suwon visits the Earth Nation, he actually leaves them in a better position than they were when he arrived. Until Fates, Fire Emblem villains have been just evil dudes, most of the time due to the outside influencing them. While by the show's end, we don't know everything about Suwon's ambition and motive, so far it's deserving of some pondering whether he's a bad fit as king after all is said and done. That's also the largest flaw with the show. There's no ending. With no Season 2 announced, fans are left with a finale that does the whole, wow, look how far we've come, but look how much journey is left to go, cut to credits. This show is on top of my list for continuations. If you aren't familiar with this channel, I don't read manga, but I'm continually tempted by garbage like this. I think it's possible, after everything I've said, to feel that Yona of the Dawn is a highly redundant show that just steals all its good ideas from another work. If you watch it and get that sense, I believe that's fair. For me, I love those other works, and I feel it captures the same spirit. I adore this show, it's one of my favorites. I love the setting, character design, aesthetic, villain, the people, scenarios, that opening song they remix and insert so perfectly within the show it elicits goosebumps every time. Yona's growth is compelling and heartwarming, witnessing the hard work and trials she endures to become a truly confident leader. The dragons are all fun characters with their own fleshed out backstories and personalities, the yellow dragon getting most of his in the OVA I mentioned. Because if you haven't watched the OVA, then little's known about him as he enters like at the last episode of the show. See what I'm saying? How can they do this to me? Season 2, please. Thanks for watching. Wait, everyone wait. Video's not over. It goes even deeper, people. The voice actor for the Green Dragon is the same voice actor for Jacob in the new Fire Emblem. It's obvious these are the same thing. Wait, it goes even deeper. Wait a second. The English voice actor for Jacob is also the English voice actor for the dub of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures for the character Joseph Joestar. And if you're asking yourself, that's not relevant, I have 4 words in retort. JoJo is always relevant. Okay, video's over. Thanks for watching. I totally recommend Yona the Dawn as much as I recommend subscribing and following me on Twitter so you don't miss any of my future updates, as well as liking the video and sharing it, because those are also cool. Probably equally cool. Hopefully you'll give this show a second look if you dropped it before. I am signing out.